What's up, everybody? It's Emmy from MC Media, and welcome to Chats with the Freak. I have the pleasure of spending Halloween with John 5 and the Creatures, and I have the Creatures with me right now, actually. Ian Ross and Logan Nix. How are you guys doing tonight?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just enjoying the second day of our tour here, trying to break into learning how to sleep on a rolling, in a rolling gym shoe again. That's what we usually refer to these things as. It's not so bad yet. It's just rainy out, so it's muddy in here, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, it's very rainy on the East Coast right now. It's not cool. Like, it's raining everywhere over here.
Yeah, I expect it to get rainier the further east we get, but I think we go south first, so I hope it'll, warm up a touch at least.
Just a little bit, so it's not this awful.
Right. Somehow, what I heard is that we left home and it's both cold and on fire where we just came from.
Oh.
So, I don't know if we're escaping the worst sort of weather conditions or if we're heading into them. It's always a crapshoot, and we love it. That's what we live for.
that's how the tour life is, man.
Yeah.
You're just like rolling with it. Like, are we gonna get fire today, or is it gonna snow?
No, exactly. I mean, usually things are on fire, though. That seems to be the way things go.
If nothing's on fire, something's weird.
Well, yeah, exactly. Something should be on fire on stage. That's where I expect the fire. I don't know, last tour there may have been some fires that were in buses, but that's stories for another time, probably. Well, I don't know what other time there would be. No, I can't get into that stuff. Right.
No bus fire
Yeah.
stories. No, I totally understand that, man. I totally get that. So you guys just released Invasion back in July?
Yes, indeed. Was it July already? Man,
Yeah.
time is flying.
I know. Yeah, I don't know how I remember that was in July.
I know. Well, you're probably more up on our release schedule than I am. I'm like, you spend so much time like working on the stuff, and then when it finally gets time for it to be birthed out into the world, you kind of are like, okay, I'm done with that already. So
No, I totally understand that. By the time like stuff comes out, you're working on it,
yeah,
and then
or
you like
you've already
submit it.
moved on to whatever you've begun working on, subsequently. So for me, I was just like in other artist territory at that point, and but well, yeah, I listened to when I got to the final copy of the record. I was like, wow, this is really a solid record. I think we outdid ourselves. I mean, I started with John like before the Season of the Witch record came out, so for me, it's only those two and like the live Invasion record, if you have that one. For all the fans out there who bought the LP and that stuff, I think you can get it on Spotify now, though. It's different. I noticed that all of John's albums are under John 5, and then John 5 and the Creatures is a separate page, and the only album on there is the live Invasion album.
And it's really weird. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, if you search it, it should come up anyway. So.
Yeah, it's really weird how it comes up with two different artists. Like, I know Doyle from the Misfits, if you search for his solo stuff, you get like 3 different artists, and all of his different albums are under a different artist.
Right,
Streaming is so weird like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to sort that out. It is strange because that kind of, to me, would indicate like, oh, they think it's under a different label or something like that, but we don't have a label, so I don't know how that would work. It's probably all under John's, whatever independent thing he has set up to put this stuff out. But anyway.
Yeah, it's just really weird how streaming like that works sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
But getting back to like the Invasion album, that I thought it was really cool how like the animations and stuff on that record were.
Oh, absolutely. That's Brett Boggs, who works on Disney films, and he was involved with Frozen, and he's been working on Frozen 2, which I'm sure we'll all enjoy very soon. I haven't even seen Frozen 1 yet, though. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell Brett. Well, he's going to find out at some point now. No, but he did, really great work with the Zoinks video, and with creating sort of a cartoon version of the entire band, including me and Logan for the cover artwork and all that kind of thing. And obviously, there's the wonderful I Am John 5 video with the giant robot and all that kind of stuff too. So we're just excited to see. We have several songs probably left to put out stuff for in video form from that album, and we have more ideas for Brett, so I don't know where that may take us. I've heard some ideas, and I would love if those were able to see the light of day, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Like everybody, I know, like talking to different people, they get so many ideas for one album, and sometimes you just can't put them into fruition all the time.
Yeah, well, now there's more room than ever to be able to do that. It's kind of necessity. I mean, nowadays, because of YouTube, you really are getting most of your views from streaming, and people are wanting to use that as their primary platform. So if you can afford to take care of a single release for every song on an album and do a video that accompanies it, that's really a better situation than anything else. So I think like every artist that I know right now is kind of trying to take care of things that way.
Yeah, they're trying to like promote every song
Every
with
single
something
song.
to.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
singles, like I feel like with streaming, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way that I do, but with streaming, singles are more of a thing right now than like entire albums.
Absolutely, yeah. People have a short attention span these days. They don't. I mean, you put out an album, it's great, but I think people expect to have a single be released like monthly or something like that to keep them engaged through an entire record cycle. You know, I miss the old days because I liked having the physical package and the artwork.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I come from a background of like, I was actually more interested in visual arts before I decided to become a musician, and so the artistic aspect of a physical album was really important to me. So, I mean, the Brett Boggs thing is super awesome, but I do miss that thing. I'm in a weird place because I've kind of gotten rid of all of the physical media that I had around. I live near Amoeba Records in Hollywood, kind of, and so I just took all my stuff there and was like, here, have it.
I was actually just there for the first time
Yeah, isn't it
last
great?
September. It's insane just to be in that place and walk around. It's like, oh my god, this is so insane.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go in there because then you would start acquiring physical media again, which I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have like a cool like record player set up in my studio right now, and I just play like everything while I'm doing shoots. So I have a pretty.
I succumbed to that finally. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I was like, well, if I keep the interest really, it could be a fun hobby if I keep it like kind of filed under one very specific thing. So I decided like I'm going to collect only bossa nova records and samba records because I love Brazilian music.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like a side hobby that I've been enjoying, trying to collect some rare Brazilian dusty grooves.
That's kind of wild because I can kind of see that like in your bass playing a little bit.
That's
like
interesting. I mean, it's crept in there over the past couple tours because when we go out on tour, what will happen to me is we're surrounded by rock bands every day, and so as much as I love metal and I mean certain genres of metal, like I don't come from like the thrashy background necessarily, but bands like in the symphonic metal vein, like a Nightwish or a Within Temptation, are like huge influences on me. So there's that. But when I come out here, I just want to like escape into some other genre of music. So it's a great like way to kind of push myself along into new territory that I haven't gotten into. So like the previous tour, I was big into the Brazilian artist Elis Regina, and she's become like my favorite artist of all time practically. And so yeah, like this entire year has just been me like going to school on bossa nova bass playing.
Yeah, no, I totally get that because like you're so in like metal or whatever and doing all these like shows and being around that genre all the time. You just need something to kind of get out of it for a hot second and be like,
yeah, that's how I feel anyway. I mean, I just like to diversify. I can't like just be focused on one thing. I just kind of get bored with it that way.
Yeah, if you stay in one, being open-minded, I think is like the biggest thing with any artist, whether you're like in art or you're making music or whatever. You have to be open-minded.
For sure, yeah. I mean, and that makes it even more fun when you go back to things that you absolutely loved previously, because sometimes you'll get so far into a new thing that you kind of forget where you were with other genres of music. So then I go back and listen to whatever inspired me before about a metal band, and I'm like, oh, this is so great again. You can fall in love with it again when maybe you've burned yourself out on it.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. You gotta take breaks from your favorite band sometimes, or you're just gonna get burned out and be like, I hate this band now.
I don't know about that, but I
can't hear this anymore.
Right, I will get so obsessed with a record when I really love it that I'll just listen to it for like an entire year and nothing else, and then I never want to hear it again for like a decade afterwards. But then it's great when you go back to it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that. So, what are some of like the albums that you've like obsessed that like started your obsession?
Obsessed over. Well, we could go back to Nightwish for me. One album that I can listen to and feel the same enthusiasm about every single time I listen to is Once by Nightwish. For me, I guess I come from a classical music background because I started on violin, so Nightwish makes sense for me. It's just like a go big or go home type of situation where you've got the strings, you've got the operatic vocals, you've got the absolutely brutal metal band with incredible players in it. And it's a beautiful thing. I just feel like they create a world that you can just kind of escape into, and you get all your head banging at the same time. So that's a huge album for me. Let me think. In other genres, Peter Gabriel's stuff, Peter Gabriel 3, Melt, and 4 Security with Shock the Monkey on it, and then So after that, of course, one of the greatest pop albums of all time, in my opinion. Talking Heads stuff. Yes was big for me back in the day. Fragile.
Yes.
Rush was huge for me as a teenager. I mean,
I've gotten so big into Rush lately, and every guy that I tell that to is like, I've never met a girl that listens to Rush.
It's rare. It really is rare.
I think it's because, like, I do a lot of work with Steel Panther, and they make a joke every show that there's enough guys in the front row that this looks like a Rush concert, or like they make some joke along the lines of that. And I was like, I'm gonna listen to Rush. I want to see what, like, I know them. Like, I obviously know, like, Tom Sawyer and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, once I started listening, I'm like, oh my god, this is actually really, like, insanely good musically. Why have I not checked this out?
Yeah, there's a lot happening. I really like a lot of their sort of more frowned upon material from the 80s. So what happened with me is my brother-in-law actually was Getty's bass tech for a while when they were touring Power Windows, and so that was around the time that Big Money was a big single and that kind of stuff. So he got me into Rush, and he also gave me my first bass guitar. At that point, I was playing violin, and I was bugging my parents. I'm like, I would like to learn cello. And they're like, why would we do that when we've already invested all this money in you learning the violin? And he was like, hang on a second, I got something. So he brought me a Beatle bass, like, copy, a Japanese knockoff that he'd had around the house for a long time. He was like, check this out, do your thing. At that point, I was into, like, Green Day, and Gorillaz was big for me. That was like, 2003 or so, I think, when I started. And but then he was like, when he could see my chops starting to take off, he was like, listen to some Rush, buddy, and then see where you go from there. And after that, I just wanted to sound like Geddy Lee and buy every bass that Geddy Lee ever played. For a while, I played, I had to have the Rickenbacker. I even had the Steinberger, like the crappy knockoff, the Gibson-owned Yo Music version that was out at the time. And eventually I found the jazz bass, which was what Geddy was on for most of his later career. And that got me into Fender basses. Now I'm not playing the jazz bass so much anymore. I'm playing the P bass. I've really fallen in love with that instrument because it's so simple. I think it forces you to work harder as a musician. So I appreciate that about it. But Rush was massively important to me when I was younger. I don't really listen to them that often anymore. I just listened to them for the first time in years, like the other day, and really enjoyed it again. So, like what we were just talking about.
Yeah. I was jamming them at work the one day. My boss was like, "Is this Rush?" I was like, "Maybe."
Maybe. Don't judge me too harshly.
Yeah, don't judge me.
Yeah, you just have to do the. I'm just exploring this musical territory. I've never gone down this road before.
Yeah. Because you see, like, all the memes on Facebook about, like, Rush is singing about, like, wizards and whatnot, and I'm just like, I want to know what this is about.
I saw that. I saw that meme probably, I think, the other day, and I was like, well, not really so much. Maybe on the Caress of Steel record, which is not a good record.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's not.
That is their worst record. Some fans are going to be very offended by me saying that. There's your clickbait title. Ian Ross almost trashes Rodger's discography.
That'll be the clickbait, nah.
Yeah. Well, you could tell my favorite record is Grace Under Pressure, actually. I believe. I really like Between the Wheels. That's just a massively heavy song lyrically, and a wall of synthesizers and stuff. I'm really into that sort of experimentation that they were doing at the time. So.
Since I'm still getting into Rush, I will check that album out. I will for sure check that out. So you mentioned that like you were on the last album with John, and then this one, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
How did the composition kind of change? Did it change at all? How you guys like constructed stuff, or?
Well, I'm not really sure how he used to construct things before I joined the band. Obviously, I can't be sure.
Right.
But his process usually is to write a guitar idea by himself. Usually, it'd be like a lead idea. And then he will send it around to people, or we'll sit around like in a tour bus if we're out working, and he'll be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Get our input on it. It changes depending on the song. I mean, there are some songs on both of those records where it was like, you had a month or so to kind of figure out what you were going to do with it, or some prior warning. And then there were other songs where he would be like, "Surprise, I just wrote this and we need to record it, or I need your bass on it when we get back." So you have like a day to figure out what it is, or not even that, like just come into the studio and just, BS your way through it, kind of. Which is, it's fun, it keeps me on my toes. I like sometimes not overthinking things and thinking on the spot, so you come up with some interesting things that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. And other times it's handy because if you overthink, your tendency is to overplay something and put too many notes in, or it might be easier or better for the musical product as a whole just to keep it more, on the down low. So there is definitely a tendency for me to overthink bass parts, and then John or the producer will be like, "Yeah, I think we'll just copy and paste something that you did that was simpler." I try to give them like a variety of takes so that they can choose what they would prefer to hear. And then when they send it back to me and I'm like, I would prefer if maybe it was a little busier in this part, maybe they can go find something that worked there. Or if they want to hear less in a certain part, they can take that out and go back to something else. So it's kind of, he's pretty open to my experimentation. I would think Swings would be a good example of that, because that was only a lead line when it came in. So I think the way the song developed harmonically was kind of based around what I decided to place under his first part that he'd sent me. So I came up with this descending kind of chromatic thing that occurs there. And when I first got it, I thought, well, maybe it'll just be a pedal on E or something like that as the key of the song. And I just felt like that motion in the bass worked well. So that was a case where the song could have developed in any number of ways, and then I just ended up pushing it to a different place. So I enjoy it when that happens, for sure. And I think Logan has had a lot more input on drum parts on Invasion too. Logan is trying to get us comfortable in the bus right now.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It was kind of chilly, but it's okay.
Yeah, now you, dear listener, will be hearing some background rumble from the heating system, but that's okay.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. That was definitely one of the better areas that I've done interviews in.
Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it so much.
Middle of the bar and the band's freaking sound checking. It's like, guys, we can't do this. This isn't going to work.
At some point, your listeners are going to freak out on you and start, "Why don't you have 20 microphones and blah, blah, blah." YouTube or, all of those sort of places are so funny about that. People
nitpick stuff, and then you look at the podcasts that are like really like, I don't want to say big, but like bigger and like more well received. They're more kind of like this, where it's just like everyone's kind of chilling. Like
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're getting a little window into what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate the fact that people are able to do it guerrilla style. I just don't understand why everything has to be a huge production now.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah.
This definitely does not need to be like that.
There's that pressure too. I'm thinking about doing YouTube stuff, and I'm like, what do I have to do in order for people not to, asshole when I start putting content out. They'll be like, he doesn't have the proper lighting. Oh, sorry.
He should have got the backdrop that was $30 instead of $25.
Exactly.
No, I hate that. I hate that. People just like nitpicking on stuff, and that comes the same way even like in like different albums and stuff. Like, oh, the production on this record could have been better, and it's like I want to see you go out and record a record.
Oh goodness, well,
drives me nuts.
We always feel that way too because I think everybody nowadays has a variety of musical skill sets. You really have to in order to be working constantly. So I do a lot of production and engineering work too, and I'm always being super nitpicky and going back and forth with our producer Barry and that kind of stuff. And he's been like super receptive to stuff too, and he did a great job. He just knocked it out of the park on this last record, so I'm super excited.
Oh, the last record sounded absolutely insane.
It's great. But I think I could be maybe a bit trying for people sometimes because I do I listen very close and I can be a bear about little details. But yeah, back to the nitpicky thing. It's funny. Based on what we do, of course, it's all about the technical prowess, and so people are really ready to be judgmental about it sometimes on the internet. You just kind of have to tune it out. Okay, once again, let's see you do it. I don't really love that attitude of let's see you do it, but it's just I don't know, you gotta appreciate that it isn't just we get up on stage and do that thing. It's the entire day beforehand preparing for it, all of the slugging it out, hauling the gear, doing sound check, trying to find the appropriate food every day, getting up there, not having great sound, trying to hear yourself, having equipment breakdown, all that stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And then some guy's like, I don't know, he stepped in front of John once. He should be fired for that. So I'm like, okay.
No, I totally get that. I feel like people are so overly critical and they don't think of everything that goes into a production.
Yeah.
And that's in any aspect of the music industry, whether you're recording an album, whether you're on tour, they just don't realize oh, hey, they were 6 hours away last night, wherever they were, and now
or further than that oftentimes it's 8 or 9 hours.
Oh yeah, and
back in the day we used to do those tours in a van, so
I remember that.
Yeah, we would get 3 hours of sleep and then get up and drive for 9 hours and then get out of the van and start sound checking and doing all that thing. I mean, it just is what it is. You're never gonna please anybody. I mean, everybody. We please a lot of people. I mean, we have so many grateful fans that just coming through today. A dad introducing his son to me, and his daughter had been out to a show before, and just to see the kids be super excited about it's the greatest thing ever. That's why I do it. I mean, I can walk into I have walked into Guitar Center in Hollywood now and seen a kid wearing a John 5 t-shirt and come up behind him and been like, hey, and they're so excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. I actually had a friend who teaches guitar in Denton, Texas, have a student come in and ask him about learning my bass parts, not even knowing that he knew me or anything like that. So being able to hear stuff like that is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's the one cool thing about you guys is it's incredible as one, obviously, but each individual part from you guys is so insane. You know what I mean? It's so it's complex in certain aspects, and it's just really cool. Whether it's your bass lines or your drumming or John, obviously. It's really cool to see 3 really super musicians coming together making really insane music.
Well, we try to do our best. I mean, at the end of the day, the idea is to support John as best we can, and try to compliment him, not get really in his way so much.
For sure.
Yeah, if I can please people by throwing in some fun bass licks and trying to keep up with him in a way that compliments him, that's what I try and do. I really don't want to be looking to step on him and
Yeah, no, I think you all like really complement each other. Like I see like other bands, and I'm not like taking a stab at anybody by saying this, so nobody on the internet take this out of context. I'm just making a generalized statement. There's some bands that like they have a tendency of like trying to like, oh, I'm bigger than like whoever, and it doesn't really matter who it is. But you guys just seem to kind of just be like, oh, we're just in a band, it's cool. Like that's just like the vibe that I get from you guys. You guys all complement each other so well.
Yeah, I would hate to be. I'm not into the one-upmanship sort of thing, especially in the technical sense. Like, it's funny because of the band I'm in, I think people expect me to be like, people follow me on Facebook and they'll send me like videos of hot bass players all the time, and I'm like, that's really cool, I guess. I don't know, like, I did my whole, music school thing, and at the end of the day, for me, it's like whatever can complement the song best. I didn't think that way when I was younger. I was very much into trying to be show-offy all the time, trying to push myself as far as I can, and I still think about it that way. I mean, I'm never not looking to be the best musician I can be, but there's a point at which it goes beyond what is necessary for what you're doing in the band or anything like that, and that's cool. I mean, there's a venue for everything now, especially with YouTube and Instagram, where people can really get widely known by being just a chopsaholic sort of player. But I don't know. I don't really have any interest in doing that myself. I'd rather just kind of serve whatever the artist is that I'm working with at the time, and keep it chill, keep it musical. It's about being musical for me.
Yeah, that's the one really cool thing. You guys are all like real chill, and it's mellow and it's good vibes.
You gotta try and be. I mean, there's so much stress out here on a daily basis that you can really do a number on yourself, and it's not worth doing that. I mean, I think you learn that over time. You can get wound up in any number of little problems that happen on the road, but it's best to just know that your place is to get up there and do your job, and everything else will pass. It'll be worked out. You can figure it out. It's not worth personal battles over.
For sure, yeah. For sure. Well, I think that's all we got time for today.
No worries.
So thank you.
Wonderful, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And catch me next
Logan,
time
did
on.
You jump in there?
I don't think Logan hopped in at all. He's just quiet.
I just ran the show.
Should I say a word?
So we can tag you in this.
Yeah, I'm alright. I second everything.
Yeah, he just kind of like sat in the corner and nodded the whole time. It's fine.
I'm hungry and tired.
I feel that. It's the second day of you guys' tour, so
yeah.
Obviously it's gonna be
got
rough.
that out of the way first in terms of we're just learning how to deal with sleeping on this thing again. It's always a learning curve. So
still feeling sluggish. You guys will be fine in a week.
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure that out. We'll figure the dealing with the people who snore in our camp out, which is none of us. I'm just putting that out there. It's definitely someone whose name starts with a my and ends with an Ike and sounds exactly like Mike.
Not to call anybody out.
Not to call anybody out.
But it's definitely Mike.
Definitely Mike.
It's definitely Mike.
And we love it. He more than makes up for it in other ways.
Well, thanks guys for checking in on Chats with the Freak. I'll catch you guys next week.